Semper Fi, everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of Recon Jack. I'm your host, United States Marine Corps veteran and living historian, Chuck Lynch. On today's episode, I'll discuss the M1917 helmet, which was a standard issue Marine steel combat helmet used during World War I and leading up to World War II. The common British soldier nicknamed it the battle bowler, dishpan hat, shrapnel helmet, tin hat, tin pan hat, Tommy helmet, wash basin, and the doughboy or Kelly helmet by the US servicemen. The German army called it the Salatschüssel for salad bowl. At the outbreak of World War I, none of the combatants provided steel helmets to their troops. Servicemen of most nations went into battle wearing cloth, felt, or leather headgear that offered no protection from modern weapons. The huge number of lethal head wounds that modern artillery weapons inflicted upon the French army led them to introduce the first modern steel helmets in the summer of 1915. The first French helmets were bowl-shaped steel skull caps worn under the cloth caps. These rudimentary helmets were soon replaced by the model 1915 Adrian Helmet, designed by August Adrian, and the idea was later adopted by most other nations. At about the same time, the British War Office had seen a similar need for steel helmets. The War Office Invention Department was ordered to evaluate the French design. They decided that it was not strong enough and too complex to be swiftly manufactured. British industry was not geared up to an all-out effort of war production in the early days of World War I, which also led to the shell shortage of 1915. A design patented by John L. Brody in August 1915 offered advantages over the French helmet. His model was constructed in one piece pressed from a single thick sheet of steel, giving it added strength and making it simple to manufacture. Brody's helmet resembled designs from past eras, in particular the medieval infantry kettle hat and the samurai helmet. The Brody had a shallow circular crown with a wide brim around the edge, a leather liner, and a leather chin strap. The helmet's shape was designed to protect the wearer's head and shoulders from shrapnel shell projectiles bursting from above the trenches. The design allowed for use of relatively thick steel that could be formed into a single pressing while maintaining the helmet's thickness. This made it more resistant to projectiles, but it offered less protection to the lower head and neck than other helmets. Although the helmet's benefits were recognized, there was criticism from several quarters who said that the helmet was too shallow and too light reflective. Its rim was too sharp and its lining was too slippery. A new design, designated the Mark I, was introduced with a number of improvements, and it featured a separate folded rim, a two-part liner, and matte khaki paint finish with sand, sawdust, or crushed cork to give a dull, non-reflective appearance. Troops from other countries also used the Brody helmet, including the United States when they began to deploy in France late in 1917. Initially, the US purchased 400,000 British Mark I helmets to equip American combatants in 1917, and those units which were to integrate with French formations were provided with Adrian helmets. The first US-made copies of the Mark I were supplied before the end of 1917. From January 1918, the U.S. military began to use helmets manufactured in the United States, and these helmets were designated M1917, with some 2.7 million produced by the end of the war. The M1917 differed little from the British design. Different rivets were used to secure the liner. The wire loop onto which the chin strap was fixed was thicker, and the rubber donut pad was not adopted. However, the U.S. manufacturers were able to produce a shell with better ballistic protection than the original. The U.S. military used the M1917 helmet until 1942 with some modifications. The M1917A1 featured a redesigned liner, and a new webbing chin strap were approved for service in 1934. This model went into full production in 1941 when 904,020 were produced. The M1917A1 was finally superseded by the M1 helmet, and it passed down to civil defense. The M1917 Civil Defense Helmet was produced to equip the Civil Defense Corps at the start of World War II, and differed from the standard helmet in having a simplified liner with thin webbing chin strap, and also different color patterns. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Recon Jack, and perhaps you've learned something new. I've certainly only scratched the surface of some of the topics discussed, so stay tuned for more episodes as I continue to explore the hallowed history, individuals, and traditions of the United States Marine Corps. Please feel free to like this video, click that notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment in the section below. I always enjoy interacting with you folks and seeing the growth of this channel. Also, don't forget to tell a friend or family member, and don't hesitate to send me an email directly to recon_jack@hotmail.com. Until next time, Semper Fi, and carry on.